Do you want us to read it too?
Carl, yeah, I blew up the font too big and it went off the page. Off Carlstead Drive, Tax key 209-2999-001, located in the village of Vernon, are requesting a waiver of the location of a constructed detached accessory building. The waiver is required since their request for a new proposal accessory structure is closer to the road than their primary structure, their home. Jake and Gillen Peters will present their request at the Village of Vernon Planning Commission meeting Wednesday, August 13th, 2025, which begins at 6 p.m. The Village of Vernon ordinance states that if a waiver to the village ordinance is requested, the Village of Vernon must notify all property owners within 500 feet of the proposed accessory building. All the information submitted by Jake and Gillen Peters' proposed detached accessory structure and its proposed location can be viewed anytime at the Village of Vernon's website, www.villageofvernonwi.org, under the documents on demand, under public hearings. If you have any questions, concerns, please do not hesitate to contact the clerk by phone at 262-662-2039, or you can send your questions to clerk@villageofvernonwi.org. Any public comments you are emailing to be heard at the public hearing must be emailed by Wednesday, August 13, 2025 by 3 p.m. All parties will be heard. Sean, you want to give an overview of this?
Yeah, I can do that. It's actually a pretty simple request. The property itself is, I don't know, almost 15 acres on Carlstad Road, just north of the freeway and Edgewood Avenue. Do you want to flip over?
I'm trying.
So here's the property here. Here's Carlstad, the freeway, and then Edgewood. Existing home on almost 15-acre parcel, completely surrounded by vegetation as well, so you really can't see into the parcel from the outside. They're proposing to put the accessory building, which is 25 property owners, whether it would benefit the petitioner's project in a way that's not inconsistent with the village's interest, whether the petition is otherwise in full compliance with the ordinances and agreements of the village, and whether instead of granting the waiver, the chapter itself should be changed to accommodate this particular situation. So that's one consideration. It's in the front yard, but again, as I mentioned, it is completely surrounded by vegetation. The petitioner has also prepared a narrative in terms of why they need they're requesting to put it in the front yard. So I'll let them address that in a second. The last couple of things I wanted to mention is that there's 3 existing small accessory buildings in the property, a small garage, shed, and actually a dog house. They're going to remove 2 of them, at least as I was told before the meeting, at least take the roof off the doghouse and then remove one of the other small structures. It doesn't really matter which it is as long as they have 2, they're limited to 2 accessory buildings in that effect. The proposed accessory building is also, let's bring up the drawing. Here's the actual location of the building here. It is, in height, it's 21.25 feet. Again, our limit is 18 feet, but we do have a provision that for every foot off the property line you can go another foot, not to exceed an additional 10 feet. The nearest lot line is 210 feet, so that's not an issue. And I think that's it. There would also be a deed restriction required because of the size, basically stating that it won't be used for commercial purposes. And so at this time, it'd be great if you could come up and just explain why the waiver is needed.
Sure. My name is Bill Canfield. I'm the general contractor representing Jillian and Jake Peters, and we'll be building the project. My address is South 66, West 27890, River Road, Waukesha, Wisconsin, 53189. I'll read the submitted narrative for to have it on public record. And this is, Sean said, the lot is large. It's 14.59 acres. The existing house is built closer to the rear of the lot. There are trees and landscaping around the house and yard, which you don't want to disturb. The chosen location makes the most sense for access to the proposed building from the existing driveway, to walk to the building for access to their vehicles and RV. which is what they will be storing in there, RV vehicles and lawnmower. Once again, there's trees all along the 4 property lines. Building is not in the line of sight of any neighbors. Proposed location will allow an easy view of the building from the house for security purposes. And building setback is, I've got listed in the narrative here, 600 feet. That may, what do we show on there?
210 from the east property
From
line.
the east, and then from the front road, it might be like closer to 400. There's
Right,
496 I've got. But it's also a funny shaped lot because there's another extension of the driveway. So anyway, it's a long ways from the road, so it's not going to be unsightly in any way at all. We do know that there's a small storage shed and a dog kennel that we talked about to be removed, and we'll comply with that. I did request with Planner Malarkey that the dog kennel, if we can just remove the roof, then and let the dog kennel itself remain. And so we would be impressed to be able to do that. And so I guess I would say I don't see any. There's been no problem with any neighbors. I don't even think the neighbors will necessarily even know what's going on, but maybe seeing some construction traffic. So,
Thank you.
any questions for me?
Planning Commission? Karen, were there any email or
No,
comments?
and I just wanted to state for the record that we did mail letters to all property owners within 500 feet, and everything has been on the website for at least 3 weeks. We had a couple phone calls, and they were absolutely fine when they were able to see what was, no complaints at all or concerns.
All right, if there's no further comments or questions, I'll close the public hearing. Moving on to discussion and possible action at the request of Jake and Jillian Peters of South 92 West 27050 Carlstead Drive, tax key 20929999001, located in the village of Vernon, are requesting a waiver of their location to construct a detached accessory building. Is there a motion to approve their request?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
And this was contingent upon the conditions listed
Correct.
by the planning firm. All right, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
All right, so that means we're approved.
Yeah, I think you're approved. I will issue the zoning permit hopefully tomorrow, and then you can get your building permit.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you
very much for your time.
All right, discussion and possible recommendation moving forward at the request of Katharina Kleinschmidt for the property owned by Darius Schwartz located at South 92 West 27825 National Avenue, VNT number 2091.994, for the review of possible recommendation to the village board for the site plan of operation for old-fashioned roofing.
They're not here.
Thank you, guys.
Okay.
We can't hear a request if they're not here.
No, we could go forward, but if there's questions, obviously, you would have to be tabled to get the questions answered.
Yeah, I'm going to try to call them while you're talking.
Okay.
All right, why don't you update the planning commission?
Yeah, I'll give an overview. So here's the site in question, right in the southwest corner of National and Edgewood, on the border with the village of McGuanago. This site has been used, I think, since 2017 by Semperfi Roofing. Semperfi Roofing used these 2 buildings in front, which are the same buildings that Old Fashioned Roofing is looking to come in and take over and is looking for approval for the site plan of operation. There's also an existing rental house in the property. The 2 detached garages here are currently used by the residents, and then further south in the property there's 2 storage buildings, which, based on the past plan of operation, they also have permission to use those to store things like boats, campers, RVs. They do not have permission to store things outdoors. As you can see, there's a bunch of stuff that's outdoors. That typically wouldn't be allowed. Their last approval didn't allow that. My conditions, if this is approved, also states that it's indoor storage only. on the property. That doesn't, they could certainly come back at a later time and, screen the whole thing and ask for permission to store outdoors, but that wasn't part of this application.
There's no fence around it now.
There's no fence, there's no screening or anything, so that just happened at some point in the last 8 years. So essentially the plan of operation is operation of the roofing contractor business utilizing approximately the 4,000 square foot storage building out front and then the 4,000 square foot office building. That's the one here. They also have use of the internally fenced area. This is fenced off in here. They won't be storing anything in there. The office building will include some customer visitors, just to basically look at materials and so on. All material storage will be stored indoors, including plywood, coils, shingles, etc. No outdoor storage of materials, garbage and recycling. They'll keep their receptacles indoors and move them outside for disposal and pickup. 5 full-time employees, 2 part-time. They're going to have Ford Transit cargo vans to be parked within the storage building when not in use, or many times taken home by the employees at night for jobs and so on. Hours of operation Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. There is enough parking on site. There's parking out front, and no signage is proposed at this time. So if this does get approved, I mentioned their plan of operation. Number 2 of my conditions deals with the previous approvals, and so essentially the existing single-family home and 2 detached garages for residential accessory use will remain, and then the 2 storage buildings, approximately 1,500 and 3,900 square feet with direct access to Edgewood, those are the buildings down here, would also remain, but there shall be no outdoor storage. The rest of the conditions are essentially boilerplate site plan of operation conditions.
Were any of these conditions that changed going to Simplify? Or is it pretty much the same?
No, it's pretty much the same condition.
It's just new owners?
It's new owner, new hours of operation. They did talk about storage indoors and keeping their vehicles indoors, which is something that they offered, and so that is different. Simplify did have some vehicles and so on. That was in the fenced area.
And if you talked to them, they are aware of all these conditions and we're fine with them?
Well, the standard conditions, I didn't talk with them. They do have this staff report, but everything that's listed in terms of uses and hours, et cetera, we talked about.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem approving it since nothing's really changing, as long as they're aware of the current conditions, which they have the report. Hopefully they read it.
It would be a recommendation to the village board to approve.
So, I'll make a motion recommending to the village board to approve the site plan and plan of operation for old-fashioned roofing with the conditions stated by our planner in his report. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Village Plan Commission review of approval of minutes from July 9th. I didn't notice any changes needed. Anybody else see any corrections needed? Is there a motion to approve the minutes from July 9th?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion to adjourn Plan Commission? Or do you guys want to stay a while?
I'll make the motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Meeting is